Donald Trump has spent months and months spreading lies about President Biden's cognitive ability. And then out of the blue, he's now saying that Biden is a worthy debater who he does not underestimate. What exactly is going on here?
Well, his advisors finally got through to him and told him that the worst thing you can do in any debate is to raise expectations. Political debates and presidential debates are all about expectations. It's not judged forensically like some college debate where you score points. It's really about what you expect and how you perform against expectations. The interesting thing about this debate, as I was thinking about it tonight, that it's really less a debate than it is a competency test. I mean, there's nothing about either one of these candidates that we're going to learn that we didn't know already. It's not like they're going to put forward a policy position that they're either suggesting or that they've supported in the past that's going to move the dial in any way. But people are not tuning in to find out what Biden's policy is and what Trump's policy is. They're tuning in to see who is capable of doing the job still, because everybody has questions about their competency, including the candidates themselves about each other. So the question is, who is really up to the job? That's the main question that'll be on the stage.
Senator, what do you think we're in for Thursday night?
I think we're in for a very aggressive Joe Biden. I think he's going to come out. He wouldn't be doing the debate this early if he didn't figure he needed to do it. And so I think you're going to see him come out. He's going to be very aggressive, attacking the former president on abortion. He's going to talk about his failed economic record, the mess he had to clean up. And Donald Trump's going to ramble around and not really make a coherent statement. And so low expectations for the president. If the president performs, if Biden performs, it'll be a huge win for Biden. Democrats will breathe a sigh of relief that, we live to fight another day. And I think that it will change, actually will move poll numbers. This is a huge debate.
You think it's a good idea? You think it's a good idea for President Biden, this debate?
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea because in part, we've now bypassed the Presidential Commission on Debates.
Yes.
And so we can talk about it. There's another norm that's gone by the wayside, but it allowed the president to set the rules. And let me tell you, the rules benefit Joe Biden.
What do you think, Mark?
I think by far it was the smartest strategic decision of the entire campaign. Listen, they had three options. One was to not debate at all. That's a non-starter. They would lose the election if they didn't debate. The other was to do what you would normally do, which is to just put it off, let Trump dominate the debate and say anytime, anywhere, any place up until September. Then you'd finally fold and say, OK, we'll do it. And it's all on Trump's terms by taking the initiative and throwing down the line. First of all, they showed confidence, which is the most important thing that Biden's got to do. His greatest problem is perception of weakness. So by doing that, he looks more confident. He takes control of the agenda. He takes control of the rules of the debate. And he just looks strong and confident by doing it. So I think it's a really smart thing to do. Now, it's also very high risk, but I think it's a risk that was well worth taking. And as Heidi said, I think there's enormous upside to this. But it's, listen, it's a high wire act and there's no net.
All right, quickly, yes or no or matter of time. Do you think Donald Trump's showing up Thursday night?
Yes. Mark?
Yeah, I think he's got to, because otherwise it shows weakness. And that's the one thing that Donald Trump can't do. And by the way, the worst thing it would do is it would create a perception of him as a loser and being afraid of Joe Biden. Again, he can't tolerate that.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.